If you think that Bitcoin can be money rather than an asset, rather than a speculative asset, then you haven't really understood what money means under capitalism. In another system, post-capitalist system, maybe. But I find it very difficult to envision a post-capitalist system, and particularly the kind of money it will have. I mean, I've tried that. I wrote a science fiction novel 2 years ago called Another Now, let me plug it, in which blockchain plays a role in a post-capitalist democratized society. But that's, for the realm of fantasy, of science fiction. It's very important. I'm a great supporter of science fiction. But under capitalism, there can be no crypto money replacing fiat money. The main reason is that the quantity of money has to be adjustable. Think pandemic. We had a lockdown, right? If the political authorities, the central banks, did not have a capacity to create money from nothing, then yes, the pandemic was harsh on us, especially on young people, especially on those on precarious jobs, the low-waged. But imagine how much worse things would have been if we had a fixed supply of money, or a supply of money which could not be expanded rapidly as a result of a political decision. The one time when we have historical records of what happened when we had a fixed supply of money, an apolitical quantity of money, was 1929. Now, I wasn't even alive then, but you will have heard of what happened in 1929. You had a crash of finance, similar to what happened in 2008, and the monetary authorities were wedded to this dangerous fantasy that there can be such a thing as an exogenous apolitical supply of money. Back then, it was called the gold standard. It was the idea of tying the quantity of paper money to a fixed apolitical quantity of some metal called gold, right? The result was the Great Depression. The fundamental difference between 1929 and 2008 was in 2008, that fantasy had been dispelled with. Now, I can understand Bitcoiners and cryptocurrency fanatics, maximalists I call them, saying, but Yanis, you spent your whole life fighting against the exorbitant authority and power of unelected bureaucrats or oligarchs in the Central Bank of Europe, in the Fed, in the Bank of England. It's true. The reason why I'm mildly well-known was because in 2015, I clashed with Mario Draghi, who was then heading the ECB, because my criticism of them is not that they have the power to expand and to contract the supply of money, but the way they use it. So we must not throw the baby out with the bathwater. We need political authorities that have the capacity to expand and to contract the supply of money in response to economic upturns and downturns. We need that. What we must do, and this is my hobby horse, my ideology, my political project, if you want, we need to democratize that central power. So, if you want to be an anarchist, be an anarchist. But then, you must make a strong case for the demise of the state. Not just the central bank, not just fiat money. If you really want to be an anarcho-syndicalist, go for it. I mean, I have friends who are anarcho-syndicalists, too. And I love them, and I adore their commitment to doing away with the state. The idea that you can keep the state and simply democratize money through decentralization is just bonkers. To my friends of a libertarian disposition, who are very excited when they read the blockchain code, I understand your antipathy towards central banks, towards central authorities, state power. I dislike the state. I dislike the state because I dislike any concentration of power which is unaccountable and unanswerable to the people. But equally, I despise the central authority of Google, of Facebook, of private sources of concentrated power. I don't care whether we are being oppressed by a state or by Jeff Bezos. If you dislike concentrated authority, you must dislike them equally. Decentralizing money through something like Bitcoin simply creates Bitcoin oligarchs. It is not a safe route to democratizing money. So there is a role for crypto in transforming society, democratizing society, but it's not going to happen if we simply replace fiat oligopolies with Bitcoin oligopolies. Thank you very much.